Hello, crypto people. My name is Joey from the Chart Guys. I've been trading for 7 years, learning under Dan at the Chart Guys for 6 of them. Joined in 2018 as a member, and I'm feeling rejuvenated. Just got back from a Eclipse camping trip with Dan. It was just a quickie, but nice to get out into nature and unwind a little bit, reset a little bit. But I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to be looking at what I missed on the full day off the markets that I was gone, which, sounds like a joke, but it's been a long time since I've taken a full day off. So it feels good to be back, ready to talk about some Bitcoin. So, we got a pretty big red day out there across the space. If we scroll through the watch list, decent red across the board. And anytime we get some red, which we know will come often on any journey to a specific price target or any movement, we never go straight one way and straight the other way. There's going to be ebbs and flows. So anytime we get pullback like this, the question is, is this healthy? Is this unhealthy? Are there red flags? Are there not red flags? And it brings up a really important concept here in terms of context. Like, we have rules with TA and whatnot, but they're not hard and, what's this saying? Hard and fast? That's not it, but they're not like cut and dry necessarily. Context is important. And what I'm speaking about specifically is this bull break. We had our 3-day tightening range, it broke bull, and now we're pulling back. Is that a red flag? Well, in certain contexts, that's a definite red flag. If we're in a monthly downtrend looking for a monthly lower high, and we do that, then that is a red flag. But when we zoom out on Bitcoin and respect that we're at all-time highs, for me, it's not a red flag. It's something that we take note of and understand the possibility that, like, okay, this could be the beginning of a bigger shift, but our mind doesn't jump right to red flag because Bitcoin bulls have earned the benefit of the doubt with their previous price action over the last 6 months. So typically when I have something like that, and we were actually, now that I think about it, we were talking about the same thing, I believe, back in here, I believe, where it was like, are these higher highs not getting follow through a red flag? No, not really, because it's bears playing some defense, but they're not getting on offense. And at this point, bears are not getting on offense. So what I like to do when we have a moment like this is I like to zoom out a little bit and determine, okay, what is the status quo on this chart? What is our clear guide? And we have the 3-day 12 EMA. It's held the last 2 tests. So we can say that this higher high without follow through is not a red flag, unless bears can bring it back down below 64.5K. And it's just that simple. We can kind of shift the odds as consolidation continues to get new information and work it into the probabilities of what we're evaluating. And we can use retracement size for that. So if we go to the daily now, just for a little more detail, we can pull our fib on this. And, I guess it has just gotten a little bit redder because we've pulled back beyond the 0.5 retrace. But again, when you trade how Bitcoin has been trading, it takes a lot more than that for something to be like a cut and dry red flag. So for me personally, just going to stick with the 3-day 12 EMA. And until that is lost, bulls maintain full control as they have had since the, second half of February here at this point. And then we can't forget that even if we lose 3-day 12 EMA, bears would have to take out weekly 12 EMA for the next step. And I know I've said this many times, but I know we got a lot of new people who come in each stream. So for the folks that are here every time, sorry for repeating myself. But the power of being in uptrends is that when you lose one, you've got a safety net below you to catch you. Because oftentimes when you're losing one time frame's uptrend, that's just the beginning of healthy consolidation on the next time frame up where you're still looking for a higher low. So you compare that to playing against the trend and you get a big victory. And I guess we'll look at LTC BTC just because this is a good example for this topically. Was it the 2-day or 3-day we were watching? I think we were watching both. It's just been the zoom out game for this. Yeah. So it was 3-day 12 EMA. We're watching on LTC BTC. Bulls get up and over, get the trend change. That's a victory, right? Yeah, it is a victory. It was the most notable shift we had in multiple months on LTC BTC. but that's just getting through one low tier boss, and then you zoom out and you have your next boss, like a video game battle against the bosses, and you have bosses awaiting you every victory that you get when you're playing against the trend. When you're playing with the trend, you have like extra lives and extra HP sitting down below to help you out. So at this point, talking about is this a red flag on Bitcoin, it's pretty granular when you consider the bigger picture context. You know, we know monthly consolidation will come eventually. We have now gone almost 200% off of our last monthly higher low. We know it'll come, but it's not going to come without losing the weekly 12 EMA. We can just keep things that simple. We can keep it that simple. So to get into our TA here on the shorter timeframes, daily consolidation underway. We're looking for a daily higher low compared to 64.5K. Let's go ahead and mark up this 3-day 12 EMA. Get the line on the chart. We'll label it. I like to put these lines on the chart so that no matter what I'm looking at, you know, on the 3-day, it's obviously very easy to see that. But if you're in on the hourly, you know, I want to know where that 3-day 12 EMA is. I want to make sure that perspective stays in my mind and that context stays in my mind. So nonetheless, back to the daily, consolidating on the daily, lots of room for a higher low. Zooming into the 4-hour, someone could call this a dinky 4-hour downtrend. I'm personally not going to. We'll still look at this level at, we'll just call it 71K. That's our only real resistance on the way up. But a lot of times if I've got that, I like to zoom out to the 6-hour and just say, all right, that's one 6-hour move down. Next time bulls get a bounce underway, we'll be looking for a lower high compared to 72.8K. And that's how I'm viewing the 4/6-hour, whatever one you want to use. And I'm liking the hourly within that. We got a nice hourly downtrend. For me, that's not a pivot. Single candle pivots, too dinky. Got hourly 12 EMA resistance. Bulls trying to get an hourly bounce underway right now. And anything below that 71K, that same little dinky 4-hour lower high, you know, that's also our hourly lower high. So, and that's another reason why I'm not really just going to fret with the 4-hour, because there's not a lot of clarity on it. The reason we use these different time frames is, one, for differing perspective, but two, to find clarity that we can operate within. And if there's not clarity, then it doesn't really serve us. So bulls are going to need to get an hourly bounce underway. It's going to need to be big enough to create room for an hourly trend change, and then that'll be a 6-hour bounce playing out. We'll look for a 6-hour lower high. And if bulls are trying to shape up a daily higher low compared to these lows down here at 64.5, then they've got to regain a 4-hour or 6-hour uptrend. And that's just what we've got going on here with Bitcoin. Quite simply just slinking on upwards, which bulls will absolutely take. When you see a move like this and then you just go sideways at the highs, that's what bulls absolutely want. You don't want the blow off top or anything like that. You just want to go sideways at the highs, cool things off. And like, let's look at our weekly RSI. You know, we're still torqued, but if you look at where we've come down from, and let's just put some numbers on it. So from here, we were at 88, and now we're down at 79. So have dropped weekly RSI almost 10 points without giving up any price progress at that point. So bulls will take that. So things look okay right now. How long will they continue to look okay? Time will tell. We get new information every day, so that's why we don't just stick to a bias or stick to an understanding of what's going on. We take the new information, we work it into our probability meter between our ears, and then we act accordingly. So let's move on. ETH, and we'll start with ETH BTC because that is where the change is. We know bigger picture, we're bumping along this key support area. We know bulls have defended it in the past. When we zoom out a little bit, defense, 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 and they're trying again here. So we had daily 12 EMA, very clear guide on ETH BTC for relative weakness. Now bulls have gotten up and over. So again, when we are in downtrends, you've got the next boss. So instead of getting picked up by your savior to save the day, you've got to battle the next boss. And in this context, it's not really an EMA resistance, it's a trend change that needs to happen. So this is just a move off the low on the daily. ETH BTC bulls need a daily uptrend if relative strength is going to stick. And then from there, that's when we go back to using our retracement sizes. So we can pull the fib from low to high, and we can say, all right, as long as bulls are above the 0.5 retrace, which coincidentally is 5 cents, then they are favored to get the trend change. If they drop below the 0.5, then that's when this is starting to look like a very quick weekly lower high. So we know tons of room for a weekly lower high. Can bulls get the daily trend change to see follow through? So for ETH USD itself, it's going to be pretty similar to Bitcoin here. We have a 3-day tightening range, bull break, no follow through, and we don't have daily consolidation underway because yesterday was such a big day here, almost 7% on the close. So again, we'll use our retracement sizes. If bulls can hold the 0.5 retrace of this move up, which they're at right now, then they're fine. If we pull back beyond that, then that's when this bull break without follow through becomes a little bit more of a red flag. And in terms of benefit of the doubt, Bitcoin gets a lot more than ETH because it's up at all-time highs. ETH can still certainly see that 6-month lower high and continued tightening range. If we turn off log, you can kind of imagine that a little easier with that. So bigger picture, going to be weekly 12 EMA here on ETH USD, and that is our status quo. Nothing is changing until that is broken. And then once that's broken, we're going to be looking for a monthly higher low. So getting in here to the smaller time frame stuff, 4 hours straight off the low, lots of room for or straight off the high, excuse me. Lots of room for a 4-hour lower high next bounce. Anything below 37.29 would be one. And hourly 12 EMA, hourly downtrend, same guide as Bitcoin. So we've got our hourly bounce underway here. Bitcoin trying, still doesn't have it yet. So a little bit of relative strength, and it'll be the same deal. Bulls need to bounce big enough on the hourly to regain the hourly uptrend, and that will be our 4-hour bounce getting underway from here. So looking at LTC. So LTC, we are still in this weekly inside bar, and we're still in this daily EQ that we were talking about last stream. High, low, lower high, higher low, lower high, and now we're back down here at 95.10 support with 93.20 after that. If this breaks bear, then that is weekly consolidation getting underway after a weekly bull flag confirmed without follow through, and that would increase the odds that we're going to stay within a quarterly tightening range. Let me stretch this out a little bit. Is the big question here on LTC is, do bulls get through 115 to get a quarterly uptrend and ultimately set a yearly higher low within a yearly tightening range? I get logged back on. Within a yearly tightening range, or do bears defend 115 and keep us tightening on the quarterly? If this daily EQ breaks bear, that will shift the ticker towards staying tightening on the quarterly time frame. So not going to trip over trends within a tightening range. I mean, I guess we'll take a peek, but probably just hourly downtrend like everybody else. Yeah, hourly downtrend, very clear guide here. A little bit of relative strength coming in. You know, we bottomed a couple hours ago, few hours ago. Bitcoin pushing to new lows just this last hour. So a little bit of relative strength. And the big question here in terms of that relative strength and relative weakness is, are LTC, BTC bears going to follow through on this head and shoulders that just confirmed here this morning? So certainly no follow through at the moment, but if we're going to say it doesn't have follow through, then bulls need to get a daily bounce underway. So, and you know, on the note of bosses, we're still battling this weekly 12 EMA on LTC, BTC. Bulls pushed a decent bit up and over and have room for a weekly higher low compared to 14, or no, that's the wrong number. We got 1175, but the next boss is now confirming a weekly uptrend to see monthly bounce follow through, and then we'll be on to the next boss, the monthly 12 EMA. So it's a long road for LTC to recover in terms of relative strength and weakness, but we're seeing some little signs that that could be underway here at this point. So if bulls get a daily bounce on LTC, BTC tomorrow, then that's when we'd say, okay, this is a head and shoulders confirmed without follow through. And you know, to point out, very, very marginal confirmation. Like it's just a little bit. We had 1404 and the low is 1402, so it's not a lot. And we could probably even consider that a double bottom, but for me, it's notable because LTC, BTC bears have been the one in control. They're the ones who have earned the benefit of the doubt. And I don't know. I guess you could say, well, if they've earned the benefit of the doubt, then why don't you give them the benefit of the doubt that this is a bear break, or call it a double bottom instead of a bear break without follow through. But I guess the way I see it is that since you've been in control so much, that when we get that little character shift of one, pushing well over the weekly 12 EMA despite not getting the close over, but then two, you just confirmed a clear pattern, head and shoulders, to get weekly consolidation underway, and it led straight into a bounce. And straight into relative strength where LTC is holding on better than everybody else coming down. You know, I don't know. It makes me, I don't know. I don't know what it makes me. It makes me look for maybe a quick weekly high or low, maybe for LTC to shift some momentum and try to get a weekly uptrend on this ratio chart. Another thing at play here, though, is that we have ETH and BTC just kind of going down through an area with a lack of support. And then when you have LTC, you've got this clear level here at 95.10 that people are playing off of. And the number one thing that will shift relative weakness to relative strength is a hold of a key support or resistance. So I would imagine that's probably what's in play here now that I think about it some more. So we won't dig too deep into the nuts and bolts of LTC, BTC. We're going to track what it's doing, but we'll just wait for this daily EQ on LTC USD to resolve before we really start splitting hairs elsewhere. What else we got? Looking at Sol. So Sol, we know weekly consolidation's underway. As long as bulls are holding the 12 EMA, it is healthy. And maybe bulls trying to form a daily higher low, holding on by the skin of their teeth. And this is essentially what we were talking last stream. The big question will be, do bears confirm a daily downtrend to see deeper weekly consolidation, or can bulls reconfirm a daily uptrend? So bears have the upper hand at this point, decently weak daily bounce, but we got some relative strength here, and that is notable. And it's probably the same thing that we're talking about with LTC. You got a clear support hold, bulls are coming in off of it, and look at this hourly chart. You compare it to Bitcoin's hourly chart, clear relative strength there. So is this a path into the future for BTC? That's what bulls hope for. But this is what I'm talking about when you got to create enough room to form an hourly higher low and go for the trend change. So typically the 12 EMA is a decent guide for that. If you get up to the 12 EMA and put some pressure on it, push through a little bit, then that's when you're creating enough room. It can change a little bit depending on how extended you are from it. Because like if we look at this distance here to the hourly 12 EMA, and we'll just go straight up to it, that's 2.54% for that one. If we look at this one, come on, trading view, let me do this. There we go. If you look at this one, it's 3.5%, so an additional percentage. So the reason why I'm saying this is because if we did top at the 12 EMA, in this context, I would still say that that's bulls creating enough room to try for something like that. But in this context, because we weren't super extended, then, it favors continuation of the trend. So it's a little bit of a nuanced element to what is otherwise a pretty cut and dry rule in terms of if you're holding the EMA, then you're fine on that time frame. So we'll look and see. Can bulls get the hourly uptrend? If they can, that'd be 4-hour bounce follow through. And if we want to hold this support down here at 167.84, bulls are going to need a 4-hour uptrend to get a daily higher low set, and then ultimately need to get through 184.68 if we're going to say, all right, a weekly higher low, a quick weekly higher low is shaping up. In general, it's not the end of the world if we lose these current lows of the 167.84, because as long as we're holding the 12 EMA, bulls are chilling. So let's see. So INJ is still kind of failing to do what it needs to do. We had nice defense of this base of support as INJ BTC testing monthly 12 EMA, looking for a monthly higher low. Maybe people are tired of hearing me talk about INJ BTC, but sometimes these things take time to, you've got to stalk some of these things. And when you're talking monthly time frame, quarterly time frame, yearly time frame, obviously it takes a long time to play out. So stalking these things is what allowed us to be on top of the shift to Sol relative strength, using the ratio chart as the guide. And we're going to do the same with INJ BTC. If we see another solid leg down, then things will shift significantly in my mind. in terms of what I'm looking for here. But we've got clear daily 12 EMA resistance. Thought we had a little shift on a few days ago because we broke daily lower high here, but EMA resistance still rejected it. So that the status quo remains for INJ BTC, whether we like it or not. And the question is, can bulls get a daily uptrend on INJ USD to continue to hold this base of support and ultimately stay sideways? And if INJ BTC gets a monthly higher low set, that's when we can start thinking about maybe new all-time highs or something like that. But at this point, still quite far away. Still quite far away, 60%. But if that ratio chart comes to play, that's when things can change. And just for educational purposes, we'll go back and look at SOL. So SOL, weak for 2 months. We know we're looking for a higher low on the monthly. When that monthly higher low came on the clue of one, that first big daily bounce said, okay, maybe this is shaping up. Then we had the daily EQ. And then when that daily EQ broke, so if we're not even just talking off of the low, if we're talking about the EQ breaking, that's March 13th. And then SOL, March 13th, ends up seeing a 48% move up in 6 days in very clear relative strength. So, Rune BTC was another one that did something similar. Looking for the monthly higher low. Once it was set, it was all bulls. ICP, we're still looking for something similar. Bulls have tried with a nice move up on the monthly here, but you got to seal the deal with the weekly uptrend. So weekly consolidation's underway. Looking for a weekly higher low on ICP BTC. And if that shapes up, then that will be relative strength coming into ICP USD. And if bulls can get a weekly uptrend on the ratio chart, that's the monthly higher low set. And that's when we can anticipate ICP USD to have, that's not the ticker I wanted, to have more sustained relative strength. So as far as ICP USDT, let's get rid of that. We got weekly consolidation underway. We got weekly 12 EMA. That's going to be our guide. Very similar to many other names here. And we are just now getting that weekly consolidation underway here today. So got a daily downtrend as our guide. Relatively weak on the day for sure. And daily lower high resistance is 1813. So don't got to make any preemptive entries on it. You can wait for bulls to show something. Let us know that relative strength is here and see if they can try to do something like this. I'm pretty sure this was the ICP BTC move. Let's see. Well, we'll get the date on it first. So that's March 20th. ICP BTC. Yeah, that's that low in the third week of March there. So gonna continue to hunt it on INJ and we'll see what we get. So looking at a strong name, we got weekly consolidation underway in many places. There's no such thing on Pendle as we keep cruising through blue skies. So daily 12 EMA rider, clean as you like it. Daily consolidation underway, looking for a higher low compared to 464 and looking like some relative strength here in the short term. Yeah, again, and I'll just keep flipping back to Bitcoin. And this is what I do in my trading when I'm like, do we have relative weakness? Do we have relative strength? You can look at your chart, flip over to the chart, like the kind of like benchmark that you're comparing everything against, and just look at that structural difference. Look at when the bottoms came. We had 11 a.m. for the bottom on Pendle. You go back to Bitcoin, at 1 p.m. we were pushing new lows. So that shows you that relative strength. So I doubt we got to hourly oversold. Just missed it a bit, it looks like. Yeah. So missed hourly oversold and bulls with room for an hourly higher low. Going to need to regain an hourly uptrend to try to see 4-hour bounce follow through. Anything below 697 going to be a 4-hour lower high. Got to regain a 4-hour uptrend to get a fresh daily higher low set. And the show will go on. So trusting these EMAs while they're working, just like we were doing with AIOZ. And this one ended up being a textbook EMA reversal play. So when you've got the EMAs acting as support, you can keep playing off them. It works as long until it doesn't. And then once you lose that, that's your signal to fish the lower high, look for the trend change to the downside. That's what you want it to look like if it's going to play out in a textbook. Not really textbook to not see follow through. So we'll have to see what this ends up turning into. But EMA riders are your best friend in this market environment. back burners and EMA riders, and it's all the better when you can get them to align. 5-minute oversold into hourly 12 EMA, 15-minute oversold into 4-hour 12 EMA, hourly oversold into 12-hour 12 EMA is what we've been seeing a lot here right now, and that's the playbook right now. The playbook will change. The playbook will change, and you won't hear me say EMA rider, you won't hear me say back burner, but for now, this is what the playbook is. So got to keep working it. Let's look at RNDR. Looking for a weekly higher low here. It's a weekly 12 EMA rider. We're in proximity of that weekly 12 EMA. So RNDR definitely on watch. Decent daily bounce. Got over the 12 EMA. Bulls got to get the trend change on the daily to shape up a weekly higher low. So if they're going to do that, they need to hold 876 and break 1054. Pretty much that simple, and pretty weak here on the move down. Pretty weak here on the move down. Maybe 30-minute 12 EMA resistance. 30-minute 12 EMA resistance. So bulls got to get up and over that to be looking at the hourly. Got to get up and over the hourly to be looking back to the 4-hour. Got to regain a 4-hour uptrend to shape up a daily higher low. What else we got? FET's kind of not doing a lot. We do got to be mindful. So we were talking about last stream, potential 3-day head and shoulders. Didn't technically get a 3-day bounce underway. You could maybe say we're watching it on the 2-day, but what we will say is 215 is key support, and we've got 251 ahead of that. So as far as the daily, I bet we can just view this as a 12-hour EQ. High or low, high, higher low, lower high, and anything above 251 would be a higher low. If this 12-hour EQ breaks to the upside, that's our 3-day higher low being set off the 12 EMA. If it breaks to the downside, then odds of this head and shoulders increases, because that would have us getting down closer to support here and create more room for bears to try and do that. But similar to what we were talking about in the beginning with Bitcoin, you know, a bearish pattern on a name that's in blue skies has way less power and way lower odds than a bearish pattern on a name that's in a monthly downtrend looking for a monthly lower high while testing the monthly 12 EMA. It's all about context. And if you've watched my webinar series, that's the big point of that. And it's ordered specifically so we start with context. Then we start with then we move to identifying most likely scenarios. Then we talk about the patterns, the head and shoulders, the wedges, you know, all that jazz. Everybody wants to get into the patterns because that seems like the actionable way to get stuff done in the markets. But those patterns on their own are not that great, to be honest. I see tons of head and shoulders break bull. I see tons of rising wedges break bull. It's about the context. That's where the power of those patterns come into play. If you just pop off at every head and shoulders out there, you probably go 50-50 or something like that. You probably go 50-50. On their own, they're not that great. With context, they're powerful. So with that, you know, we got head and shoulders up here, but we're still, 10% above weekly 12 EMA, 20% above weekly 12 EMA. We know it's our bigger picture guide, just not fretting about it too much at this point. If we go down and we lose 215, then it's like, okay, well, maybe we got some monthly consolidation shaping up. And then we'll do the same thing on the monthly 12 EMA for our last higher low, if you want to call it that. It's definitely was scant consolidation, 3.12% on a name this volatile. Not a lot, but it's all we have to go off of. So yeah, we'll see. FET not doing a lot. FET not doing a lot. What else? We'll take a look at some meme coins, and then we'll see what y'all are looking at. So Pepe, what do we got? Clarity on Pepe. You know, it kind of, the weekly kind of looks like FET. I mean, a lot of names have this look on the 3-day, basically the tightening range. So any name that didn't break 3-day lower high, we can say is a little bit weaker. Any name that did, we can say is more in line with Bitcoin. Let's go to our daily. So big bounce on the daily. Bulls, if they want to stay within this tightening range, going to need to form a daily higher low compared to 634 and go back up and break 796. And it's going to be the same structure on the hourly and 4-hour as everyone else. Hourly downtrend, another 30-minute 12 EMA rider. Got to get up and over that to be looking at the hourly 12 EMA. Got to get over hourly 12 EMA to create room for a trend change to get 4-hour bounce underway, then you need a 4-hour trend change to get a daily higher low set. So that's Pepe, Doge, even more room for a daily higher low. Anything over 16,733 would be one, and going to be same deal. Hourly 12 EMA, or this is a bit stronger because we actually have hourly 12 EMA rather than the 30. Got to get an hourly trend change to get a 4-hour bounce underway, 4-hour trend change to get a daily higher low set. Let's look at Doge BTC, see if we have any differing info here. Pretty much the same, nearly identical. And Dan calls this being in the spotlight when your ratio chart and your USD pairing are doing the same thing. Just means you have more volatility in both directions. You know, if Doge is going down, it's going down more than Bitcoin because it was previously going up more than Bitcoin. It's just more volatile, so it's syncing up. But we don't always see that, like INJ, BTC, you know, that's been going down while INJ's been going sideways while the rest of the market goes up. So INJ, BTC going down, that's the relative weakness of INJ, USD staying put while everything continues on. So SHIB's getting tight. We had our little daily EQ, 12-hour EQ, whatever time frame you were looking at it on here, and now we've just shifted to a larger time frame EQ. So I think I'm liking it on the 2-day. High, low, lower high, higher low. Anything below 32.85 going to be a lower high. The direction this breaks, let's see what that will do for us. I reckon it'd be monthly consolidation looking to shape up, but we can't really talk about that at this point with 21 days left in the month. To get monthly consolidation underway, you need to break the low of the previous monthly candle. So unless something insano happens, well, I guess 55% is not that much. I mean, not that much, but yeah, I would put the odds at breaking the low of last month in April very low. So we'll just stick with the, what are we even going to use then? I guess we'll go to the 2-week. So if that 2-day EQ breaks bear, that's 2-week consolidation underway with lots of room for a higher low. So just though, as we were talking about here, when you get tightening ranges, it allows bulls and bears alike to position with clear stops and get everybody synced up on the same page once the break happens. So just getting a more extended version of that. And we could probably continue to tighten for a bit, but I would think we probably break it this week, and if not this week, next week for sure. Next week for sure. So WIF, seeing pretty solid pullback here today, 14%, but that's mainly because it's just very volatile. Still got room for a daily higher low. Anything over 318 would be one. And hourly, 4-hour, going to be the same grind as everybody else. Not going to keep repeating it. And bonk, where do you stand? Still weaker. Still the weakest of the gang at this point. We're down on our support. We can probably be viewing this as an EQ as well. Maybe this one's like a 3-day high, low, lower high, and this higher low at 21.81.11 coming into play. Hourly, 4-hour, same context as everybody else. All right, that's all I got. Let's check back in on Bitcoin. Look like that hourly bounce is getting underway. Indeed. So anything below 71K can be an hourly lower high. Bulls got to get up to that EMA if they want to create room for the higher low. And we'll drill in a little bit closer here. Not all of that convincing, huh? You know, this was our level to break to get the hourly bounce underway. You pop it and then get wicked back down. Not all that convincing. So this could be a very quick 5-minute rising wedge. I'm not going to split hairs, though. When we're in like tightening ranges, it can be... This is another thing. Let me take a step back. Talking about context and the importance of context. When you're in tightening ranges on larger time frames, we know that smaller time frames have increased odds of decreased clarity. So you want to be mindful of how you choose to operate within larger time frame tightening ranges, because a lack of clarity is not surprising. So it doesn't mean you don't be mindful of the higher highs without follow through. And it's going to be different for everybody. Like if you're with an exchange that has really low fees and you're scalping the 5-minute and in a move back 0.5% is what you're looking for, then you know you can be battling in the trenches here, but you just got to be mindful that things can get a little choppy. So I'm not gonna worry about that. Let's just look at the 15-minute. That doesn't really have clarity either. Doesn't really have clarity either. I guess we'll stick with 5-minute uptrend. 5-minute uptrend and 15-minute higher low support is 68.7K. Not a lot that I'm loving here. If bulls get a little more bounce, we can be looking for like an inverse head and shoulders. That would be decent. Something like that. Let's check relative strength and weakness. So ETH, a little more pullback off the 5 or 15-minute 12 EMA, and similar kind of rising wedge thing. So this is where some probabilities can be shifted based off of using information from peers. If ETH/USD confirms this rising wedge and pulls back to 34.90 or something like that, then we'll know that we can put a little more credence into this Bitcoin one. But I don't know. Here I am saying I'm not going to really hash stuff out in the trenches while we're in tightening ranges, but I'm hashing stuff out in the trenches. Let's see what y'all are looking at. OG Itchy, what up, dude? Happy to have you. Ryan, thanks for the welcome back. I'll probably after the stream here, I'll post some pictures in the community in this Chart Guys chat room. We had, I hesitate to say the word perfect because for obvious reasons, but we had maybe a perfect bonfire where this sucker burned for 4 hours, 4.5 hours, and needed zero adjustment the whole time. It was just putting logs on, and there was never like it fell and we had to like get everything together. It was kind of like had like a spiral spirit to it, and it was just, I don't know, I was shocked. I was digging it. I think I was a lot more jazzed than Dan was about it, but I'm trying to get him to appreciate the just low probability of it. I don't know, I've had so many bonfires, and I don't know if I've ever had one that didn't need maintenance. All right, looking at JUP for Carlos JF. I'm going to assume that JF is for Jungle Funk. Looking at JUP. So JUP is consolidating on the, no, it's not. Maybe getting consolidation ready on the weekly. We've had a stair step for over a month at this point, and bears had the deep pullback off the top, and the next step for them is to confirm the downtrend. This is the same concept we were talking about with Sol USD. Pullback, can bears confirm the downtrend to see deeper weekly consolidation? It's the same thing on JUP. So we got bulls trying the double bottom at 128.56 and 129.12. If they're going to defend that and fend off weekly consolidation, they got to get back through 149.32. If that's lost, we'll have a daily downtrend guide for weekly consolidation, and we don't even have a 12 EMA to work with at this point. But I would say probably if bulls hold one psychological, they're pretty all right with this consolidation. If we lose one psychological, then that's bears more comfortably creating room for a weekly lower high next bounce. So won't be surprising to see weekly consolidation. We've seen many alts get that underway, and no JUP yet for that. All right, Jahanzib, I'm well, man. I'm well, feeling rejuvenated after a nice camping trip, and a good reminder that I've got to do it more often. It was short, 24 hours in town, but we got so many beautiful camping spots here. It's kind of like blasphemy for me to not be getting out for quickies regularly. Like when I lived up in Michigan, I camped all the time, and I had to drive for it, had to plan for it, and now I can like drive a half hour and be in a beautiful spot. But instead, I'd sit at the charts and look at tickers all day. Flocky, USDT. I feel like I don't remember this doing that. Is there anything with more history? Let's go mix C. Yeah, I thought so. So Flocky, wouldn't be shocking to stay within a tightening range. I guess we'd have to look at it on like the 6 month or something like that. Let me get logged back on. Wouldn't be shocking to see that. And this is pretty similar to, I guess, a lot of things. We got tightening ranges in many places right now. The only name that really comes to mind that's not going sideways is pretty much Pendle, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone else is either like ginger downtrend or sideways. So let's see, we'll do this as a 3-day EQ as well. High, low, lower high, bulls getting the higher low set, but only marginally. We had resistance at 21,695. We got 22,190, so it broke by a bit. And that makes key support now 18,519. And then after that, 16,101. So if this tightening range were to break bear, that would be losing the weekly 12 EMA and the first sign of monthly consolidation shaping up, and we got a lot of room for a monthly higher low. So 4 hour, going to be same as everybody else. Stair step off the top, got to regain a 4 hour uptrend to get a daily higher low set. We've got a lot of room, or not a lot, but we've got room for a daily higher low. And hourly downtrend and another 30-minute 12 EMA. So yeah, going to be very similar to the shorter time frames of everything else we looked at, and honestly decently similar to the larger time frames as well. Let's see, Ryan D. Anderson. Thank you, sir. Let's take a look at NXRA USDT. I believe I've heard of this one. Let me find a good exchange for it. That looks a little wiki. NXRA. Yeah, we'll roll with KuCoin. So what do we got? We got a weekly uptrend. We're looking for a weekly higher low. Not much follow through on the bear break of this candle on the weekly time frame, and pretty much sideways. Kind of tough when you got a name that's like getting these wicks to really trust what's going on in terms of levels. Like these wicks, I bet if we go down and look at it on the 1 second time frame, which we won't, is probably just a fat order. So how do we want to do this up? We'll just kind of forget everything from there back. We'll say we're looking for a daily higher low. Anything over 1963 would be one. Got room for it. And then the hourly and 4 hour, it's different structure from everybody else. So pump up, dump down, hourly stair step. That needs to break bull to get an hourly bounce underway. Anything under that high would be an hourly lower high. Got to regain an hourly uptrend as step 1 to getting a 4 hour bounce underway. And then got to regain a 4 hour uptrend to get a daily higher low set. Same deal on many names right now. I saw that Starpa Crow AKRM getting smoked. It's one of those things though that it's like, yeah, it's getting smoked. Where is it? Yeah, it's getting smoked, but it's like more volatile than everything else. So like you look at this chart and it's like, oh, I don't know, ginger 2-day downtrend consolidating on the weekly. Like it doesn't look too egregious, but then you put the percentages to it and it's like, okay, we're down 18% on the day. So we're testing weekly 12 EMA, looking for a weekly higher low. Someone could say this was a dinker that then came down, but I don't usually count these dinkers when you're that far above the EMA. So we'll see, does this lower low see a lack of follow through? Because there's two main things that cause a lack of follow through. One, when you have a larger time frame reference point that is coming into play, which in this context is the weekly 12 EMA, and 2 is when your RSI levels are torqued, which RSI levels were torqued on that break. So hourly stair step down, decent hourly bounce. Bull's got to regain an hourly uptrend as step 1 to saying that this bear flag confirming is not having follow through, and step 1 of potentially trying to shape up a weekly higher low. A decent volume today on the downside, but we'll just go one step at a time. Key resistance for bulls is 217. If we were to lose weekly 12 EMA, that's when we say, all right, we got a character shift, and ultimately that's monthly consolidation getting underway. We got a double bottom with the low of last month at this point, and after the last monthly move, would it be surprising to see monthly consolidation? No, it would not. it would not. What up, ALN? Let's see. Monster heading. I keep calling it Monster. Gosh dang it. I mean, MSTR. Kind of can't blame me for going Monster, but gosh dang. Is this a Head and Shoulders? I'd probably look at it on a larger time frame than the daily, like a 2-day or 3-day. But definitely, I think I like the 3-day best, to be honest, because we didn't have this little pop here. So left shoulder, head, and for the clearest look, I would want to see another bounce like that and then come down. But, you know, on the note of it won't be shocking when monthly consolidation comes, MSTR is definitely in that category, 355% since the last round. And we probably, see if the EMA rider, yeah, so this is a good example of the zoom out game. Daily 12 EMA is our guide. Lose that, you zoom out. 2-day 12 EMA ends up being the guide. Bulls hold that for 1-2 bounces, zoom out. Now we got 3-day 12 EMA coming into play. Then it'll be weekly 12 EMA coming into play. So got a little daily downtrend as the short-term guide. Anything below 1739 going to be a daily lower high. And that is that. All right. I'm going to have to wrap it up. I got a Chart Guys stream for the Slack room coming up here shortly. If y'all haven't hit the like button, I would like if you could hit it. If you don't hit it, I won't hold it against you. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. If you don't subscribe, I won't hold it against you. But we got a lot of sweet stuff from some chart nerds. Jerry, I appreciate that. To hear, hello, hello. Nice to see you. Let's see. Yeah, just going to wrap it up there. Yeah, Paul, for these streams, only looking at crypto. Sorry, my friend. But yeah, quick note on CGC. Definitely pleased with how it's holding up, given how smoked Tilray got on earnings. But that's where we'll wrap it up here for today. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Let's see if Bitcoin does anything different. No concrete red flags until we lose 3-day 12 EMA, and that's just a baby red flag. Got to lose weekly 12 EMA. And red flag is just, it's a matter of perspective. There's a lot of bulls out there who want to see monthly consolidation so that you can buy the dip. It's just about how you manage your stuff. Like, there's nothing unhealthy about pulling back on the monthly time frame, but you don't want to be leveraged to the you-know-what's bullish when that happens. So it's just about identifying what's going on, making sure we're positioned properly, and daily oversold, monthly 12 EMA. A lot of people are going to be looking to buy monthly high or low. Take it easy, and I will see y'all next time. My pleasure. Thanks for the support. Farewell.